In the ruthless economy of online attention, a human being's fear is a valuable currency, and 18-year-old Josh Grant was a master at minting it. For him, life was a relentless hunt for content, a world where every moment was a potential video and every person a potential prop. His social media channel, a chaotic gallery of public pranks, was his entire identity. He wasn't just a high school senior. He was the king of a digital circus, and the line between a harmless joke and a heartless act had long since blurred into a pixelated haze. His latest obsession, his ticket to the next level of internet fame, was the extreme trust fall trend. It was a dangerous game of calculated chaos. Trip someone, then heroically catch them at the last second, all while cameras captured their raw, unfiltered terror. For his next masterpiece, Josh needed a grander stage. The location he chose was the busy main staircase at school, a cascading river of humanity during the 5-minute pandemonium between classes. His friends, Zach and Kyle, were his acolytes, ready with their phones to immortalize the planned magic from multiple angles. All he needed was the perfect co-star, someone whose reaction would be pure, whose trust was an untapped resource. And then, through the crowd, he saw him, 15-year-old Sam, a quiet, studious sophomore, carefully navigating the treacherous social waters of high school by trying to be invisible. He was making his way down the stairs, his arms laden with the weight of his academic ambition, a stack of heavy textbooks. To a predator like Josh, Sam wasn't a person. He was the perfect mark, small, unsuspecting, and utterly unaware that he was about to become the unwilling star of Josh Grant's next viral hit. "Get ready," Josh whispered to his friends, a thrill-seeking grin on his face. "This is gonna be gold." As Sam reached the last few steps of the crowded staircase, Josh moved with practiced ease. He timed it perfectly, sticking his foot out just as Sam was shifting his weight. But he had made a catastrophic miscalculation. He hadn't accounted for the heavy, unstable stack of books in Sam's arms. When Sam's foot caught on Josh's, he didn't just stumble. He pitched forward, his center of gravity completely gone. Josh reached out to make the heroic catch, but he only managed to grab a handful of backpack as Sam tumbled past him. The scene descended into chaos. Sam fell down the last 4 steps with a sickening series of thuds, his body landing in a heap. At the bottom, the heavy textbooks scattered across the floor. A sharp, cracking sound echoed in the hallway, followed by a scream of pure, unadulterated agony from Sam. The students around them gasped and backed away. Teachers came running. Josh stood frozen at the top of the stairs, the smug grin wiped from his face, replaced by a mask of pale, sickening horror. This wasn't funny. This wasn't a joke. His friend Zach was still filming, the camera lens capturing the raw and scripted aftermath of their stunt. Sam was on the floor, clutching his wrist, his face white with pain and shock. The next hour was a blur of authority and dread. Sam was taken away by paramedics. The school principal, Mr. Davison, confiscated the phones containing the video evidence. Josh was escorted to the principal's office, a sterile, silent room that felt like a holding cell. He didn't try to lie. He couldn't. It was all on camera. Mr. Davison stared at him, his face a mixture of anger and utter disgust. "The boy has a clean break in his wrist, Josh. A compound fracture. His parents are with him at the hospital. They are, to put it mildly, devastated and furious." Josh could only stare at his shoes, the reality of his actions finally crashing down on him. "I have already seen the video," the principal continued, his voice cold. "I have seen you plan this. I have seen you laugh. This was not an accident. This was a deliberate act of assault for the sake of a stupid video." He paused, letting the weight of the word assault hang in the air. "I have just gotten off the phone with your father," Mr. Davison said, his eyes narrowing. "He and your mother are on their way. You have absolutely no idea the trouble you are in, young man." And in that moment, sitting alone in the silent office, the glory of his online fame felt like a distant, hollow echo. All he could hear was the sound of that bone cracking, and all he could feel was the terrifying certainty that his father, a retired police officer, was coming. The arrival of Josh's parents was not loud, but it was heavy with a terrifying authority. His mother, her face pale and stained with tears, couldn't even look at him. His father, Mr. Grant, a man who had worn a police uniform for 25 years, walked into the principal's office with a controlled, silent fury that was far more intimidating than any shouting. He didn't speak to Josh. He spoke to the principal, his voice low and firm, getting the details of the incident. The principal played the video on his computer monitor. Josh was forced to watch as his parents saw it all: the arrogant planning, the cruel targeting of a younger student, the catastrophic miscalculation, and the sickening fall. He watched his mother flinch and turn away, a sob catching in her throat. He watched his father's face turn to stone, his jaw set like concrete. The car ride home was a tomb of silence. Josh sat in the back, feeling like a prisoner in transit. When they walked through the front door, his father finally spoke. "Give me your phone," he commanded. Josh handed it over. Mr. Grant navigated to Josh's prank channel, a page filled with his proudest moments, and with a few clicks deleted the entire account. 16,000 followers, hundreds of videos, vanished into the digital ether. "Your career as an online celebrity is over," his father said, his voice like ice. "Now we're going to deal with the real-world consequences." He looked at his son, his eyes burning with a righteous anger. "You broke a boy's arm, Josh. For what? For likes? You put your pathetic need for attention above another human being's safety. In my old job, we had a word for that. It's called assault. And the fact that you are my son makes this 1,000 times worse." His mother stood by, weeping silently, a united front of profound parental disappointment. "You have brought an incredible amount of shame and pain to this family today," his father continued. "And you have proven that you cannot be trusted with freedom. A lesson is required, a hard one, to remind you that actions have real physical consequences." He walked to the hall closet and retrieved the old, thick leather duty belt from his police uniform. It was a symbol of the law and order he had dedicated his life to, a life his son had just made a mockery of. "In the living room," he said, "you will bend over the back of that chair." Josh's legs felt like they were made of jelly. He knew his father's temper, but he had never been on the receiving end of this kind of cold, deliberate discipline. He did as he was told, his whole body trembling as he bent over the chair, the shame of his actions finally catching up to him. His mother watched from the doorway, her hand over her mouth. The first strike of the heavy leather belt was a loud, shocking crack that echoed through the house. A bolt of pure, unadulterated pain exploded across his backside, forcing a raw cry from his lips. "That," his father's voice boomed, "is for the pain you caused that boy." Crack. The second blow landed with punishing force. "That is for the shame you brought to your mother." Crack. "And that is to remind you that your actions are not a joke." After 5 hard, stinging strikes, his father stopped. Josh was sobbing, not just from the fiery, intense sting, but from the complete and utter humiliation of his downfall. "Get up," his father ordered. He slowly straightened, his body aching, his pride shattered into a million pieces. "Now you listen to me," Mr. Grant said, his voice leaving no room for argument. "This is what is going to happen. We are going to pay for every single one of Sam's medical bills. Your entire college fund is now his medical fund. You will start from zero. Second, you are going to the hospital right now, and you are going to apologize to that boy and his parents. And you will pray they don't press charges." And they did. The apology was the most difficult moment of Josh's life, standing before Sam's furious parents, stammering out his regret. And finally, his father had said later that night, "Your summer is no longer yours. You have been suspended from school for 2 weeks. During that time, and for the rest of the summer, you are now Sam's personal assistant. He has a broken wrist because of you, so you will carry his books. You will write his notes for him in class. You will go to his house after school and do whatever chores his parents need done to make their lives easier. You will serve the family you harmed until they tell me you have paid your debt." The following weeks were a humbling nightmare. Josh, the once popular prankster, became a pariah. His old friends avoided him. He spent his days in quiet servitude, carrying another boy's backpack, mowing another family's lawn, washing their dishes. One afternoon, he saw Sam struggling to open his locker with one hand. Without being asked, Josh stepped forward and helped him. Sam looked up at him, and for the first time, there wasn't fear in his eyes, just a quiet acknowledgement. In that moment, Josh finally understood. He had spent months chasing fleeting internet fame, desperate for the attention of strangers, but in the process he had forgotten how to be a decent human being. It had taken a broken bone, the loss of his future, the sting of his father's belt, and the slow, humbling work of making amends, to finally learn the lesson. Some things are not a joke, and respect is something you build, not something you prank.